And here we go, we're into game 2 from Plymouth 2026 from the Poor Show. And here, there's some of my Welsh brigands, or it might be Gascon brigands. These, I'm trying to remember which company they're from. They're from a Hoka Hay, actually. It's probably a range that's been sold on to someone else. It's one of the many ranges of Border Reaver figures. I really, really like them. They're very chunky. This photo doesn't really do them justice, to be honest. It's a little bit overexposed, but I wanted to get these on table, which is the reason for taking the Gascon brigands, the mediocre medium swordsman, in a big way. So here's the second game against the Kingdom of Navarre, and the Kingdom of Navarre is a load of charging knights and then a load of medium swordsmen to come at the army. So knights down the middle, no surprise there. Huge amounts of medium swordsmen on both sides. And same setup for me, really. The only real difference is that I've stuck, knowing there'd be knights, I've stuck the spearmen into that front rank. I've spread these out a little bit, so there's a block of swordsmen and halberdiers and spearmen there with a crossbowman sort of perched in the middle. And then here, that's the tiny command of heavy infantry. And then I've got the heavy infantry behind here because I wasn't really sure what I would be facing against this big block of 5 longbowmen and a crossbow, and there's more longbow over there. So this army is just going to race forwards, really, isn't it, and have a go. So, and there they go. They're racing forwards. They're having a go. My javelinmen are going to be kind of busy in the front of that as my army braces for impact. All I'm trying to do is stop them far enough away that I get as many shots in as possible before they kind of come crashing into my army in the middle. So not too much to say really here. I've just moved up a bit. I'm getting ready. This side is sort of starting to try and shake itself out a little bit to try and organize and get the longbowmen in. Some of them are moving across to fill into a gap here because I really want to get the longbowmen shooting the knights, and I really want to get these heavy swordsmen facing these medium swordsmen over here as well. These longbowmen are safe in terrain for the time being. We'll see what happens over there. And here we've got, again, the huge size of this English army at 24 is starting to have an effect because we've done a lot of damage to these swordsmen over here. And there's some spearmen, I guess spearmen in the middle here. So with these swordsmen, I've been able to wheel around a bit, send the Welsh spearmen even on a bit of an outflanking thing, start to pin them. I'm quite happy to take on bowmen and swordsmen if I've got this advantage with numbers and I can just press forward here. It's a very solid line, but it does run out, and it runs out before mine. These heavily armoured guys, quality 4 hits, solid foot, are quite happy to take on and neutralise this, because it just means if he gets neutralised by him, they can deal with both of those guys. It will leave the knights a little bit isolated, and you can see I've snuck in some bowmen here to get some sniping shots to try and cause some damage to the knights before they get into my main body of troops in the middle. It's really just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against 3 here, and then 1 against 2. Happy with that, though, because he's quite tough, and really can I get the sniping shots in. So over on the other side, the medium swordsmen are just rushing towards my bowmen, longbowmen. There's a couple of hits, I think, behind there. You can see those markers there and there. So we're doing some damage, but again, I've just pushed up, held these back a little bit, pushed up. I am going to get overlapped on that flank, but it's crossbowmen. I can probably live with that, and I'll swap it for the damage I've done here and the possibility of causing trouble with these guys. And as we get to it, you've got the swordsmen, you've got the bowmen. They're trying their best to try and avoid being overlapped, but there's hits from all the shooting before they go in. These guys are a double overlap, but against injured guys, that's not the end of the world. And the knights are charging forward, ready to try and take on my spearmen and halberdiers. But because I pushed these through, I've managed to create sort of almost second line overlaps. They've got to come in past me to get in, which creates opportunities for longbowmen to go in the flank or overlaps at combat. So hopefully I can stand up to this knightly charge. And then it looks like these guys have nearly got in as well, but are probably fighting some heavy infantry there with a couple more hits too. So yeah, looking over on the left hand side, unsurprisingly, that bowman who was fighting 2 longbowmen and was injured, he's gone. That's another longbowman to get into the flank of this sword formation. Just the sheer weight of numbers on my left flank is starting to pay. And as I was hoping, these guys have been more resilient. They've stood up to this charge by spears with turning cutting weapon. They've done quite a bit of damage. So these guys, probably these 3 now, plus the bowmen, are all it's only a matter of time before they're rolled up, because there's pretty much no casualties here. And look at that, there's a couple, maybe 3 hits already on the knights from shooting, so that's really even things up, or probably put it in my favour for when they crash into the heavy infantry. So looking on the other side, there's a bit of a scrum developing over here, but it's all my heavy infantry and dismounted knights against enemy bowmen, enemy spearmen here. The knights aren't actually in combat yet. They're just still taking hits from shooting. These guys are trying to get their way to numbers, but I've still got more people to push through, and these guys are still trying to get into the longbowmen and charge forwards. But same thing has happened on the other side. I'm quite happy for these heavily armoured knights to be fighting spearmen, especially happy for them to be fighting bowmen. They're really up for that. And oh, yeah, there's always a reverse, isn't there? This looks like, I told you a minute ago this was going to be all over quite soon, but clearly not. They've got other ideas. Despite being injured, despite being battered, they're doing 2 hits of damage to my longbowmen, 2 hits of damage to my dismounted knights, or men-at-arms there, probably men-at-arms there as well, even though he's taken 3, so he's nearly in trouble. But again, look at that. Ready, if they come forward any further forwards, we may be able to avoid that zone of control and get in there as well. So here it comes. Here comes the knightly charge into the longbowmen, into the dismounted knights, into the armoured spearmen. But look at all those hits that have been done by the sniping longbow, by the longbow coming forwards. These knights, pretty much all of them have taken some damage, but you've got a proper medieval scrum here. My heavy foot holding back the line there. These guys injured from shooting, but going into my longbowmen. They're coming around the flank as well. But here the knightly charge is going in. Can the injured knights, have they still got enough sort of puffed, enough grunt to kind of get through? This bit's pretty squishy. This bit's very unsquishy. Real interesting kind of matchup there. So what's going to happen? Well, disaster for the knights. The injuries, fighting the bowmen, fighting the heavy infantry, getting into the spearmen, although they've survived that. It's been a bit of a catastrophe. It looks like the knights have only done 1 victory there, and there's 1, 2, 3 knights gone. There's now, this one's double overlapped against spearmen. That one's hit. He's almost got no target to aim for as they've come in through support. We've chopped 1 up here, so there's only 2 left here as well. Knocked a hole in them over there. Can't quite see what's happening with the longbowmen, but this for what used to be a very solid line is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units down, 14 points out of, Navarre is not a huge army. There's not many skirmishers here, plus whatever damage has been done. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There's probably 20 points of damage already visible in that, and that's got to be pretty close to the end for the Navarrese army. And yep, that's it. These guys, the heavy infantry, the men-at-arms, they stand firm against the charge of the knights, supported by the longbowmen, and it's a stand and take it. It's another victory for the 100 Years' War English.
This means war. This means war.
Pasties.